Michael Jordan's a little left of that Charlotte bench. I think that was a look at Michael like...
Since the first quarter, they have 27 points in the opening frame. Here's a steal by LeBron. Here comes a show. James with the throwdown.
And then the steal. You get on the break. This gets this team going. He's not even looking at the... I think he was looking at Michael Jordan.
I was thinking the same thing.
Michael Jordan's a little left of that Charlotte bench. I think that was a look at Michael like, turn out the lights, my friend.
In the world of basketball, there has been one debate that has raged on for more than a decade. Who is the greatest player of all time? And for the longest time, the answer was easy: Michael Jordan. But over the course of his long career spanning over 2 decades, LeBron James has slowly but surely been adding to his own personal resume and making a case for himself as the greatest player of all time. Now, as a person who has followed both of these elite athletes throughout their respective careers, I have decided to throw my hat into the ring and answer the nagging question: who is the greatest basketball player of all time? Michael Jordan or LeBron James? In preparation for this video, I have watched countless people debate back and forth as to who is greater. I have also seen practically every other video on YouTube discussing the matter, and I'm here to tell you that the GOAT debate is finally over. Over the course of this video, I will be diving deep into a number of different ways in which we can measure the greatness of each one of these players. And the first one we will be discussing is scoring. Probably the most talked about metric when discussing just how good a player is their ability to score the ball for their respective team. Now, fortunately, we have a number of different metrics to compare these two amazing scorers. The first metric we can look at is points scored. LeBron leads this category with more than 40,000 points scored all time, while Jordan is 5th all time with around 32,000. Now, on face value, it would seem like LeBron James is the better scorer. Nobody in the history of the NBA has scored more points than King James. However, the glaring flaw in this stat is the number of games each player has played. LeBron has played 50% more games than Michael Jordan throughout his career. Being the all-time leading scorer has always been a combination of longevity and elite scoring combined. And if Jordan had played as many games as LeBron has, he would undoubtedly be the all-time leading scorer. Now, a much better metric for discussing who is the better scorer comes by the way of comparing each player on a points per game basis. Jordan has led the league in scoring a record 10 times and has the record for the highest points per game average with 30.1 throughout his career in the regular season, and has the record for the highest points per game average in the playoffs with 33.4. LeBron, on the other hand, has led the league in scoring 1 time, with a career average of 27 points per game in the regular season and 28.4 points per game in the playoffs. LeBron does have a slightly higher shooting percentage, however, Jordan has a substantially higher free throw percentage. So on face value, Jordan is the better scorer. However, part of the reason Jordan has a higher points per game average than LeBron is because LeBron chooses to try to get his teammates more involved in plays than score himself. Back in 2010, LeBron was asked by a reporter about him winning the scoring title and leading the league in points scored, and he said this:
Is winning the scoring title, if it happens, it happens type thing.
It's not important to me at all. If I really wanted to be a scoring title, I would do it every single year. Every single year, I could really do it.
Now, when LeBron says something like this, if he really wanted to, he could lead the league in scoring every year. I really do believe him. The problem with this is his shooting percentage would undoubtedly go down, making it bad basketball for the success of the team. You can see this with a player like Allen Iverson, who did lead the league in scoring 4 times. However, each one of those times was on very poor shooting percentage, often leading the league in shots per game. LeBron has always been considered the best all-around player in basketball, and when you focus on being great at everything, it's impossible to be the best at any one specific thing. But if we had to say objectively which player was the better scorer, the checkmark goes to Jordan. Another way a player can contribute to scoring points for their team is not by scoring the ball themselves, but by making great passes to teammates. Now, all time, LeBron is 4th overall with more than 11,000 assists and the highest of any non-point guard of all time. Jordan, on the other hand, is 52nd all time with about half as many assists as LeBron. And once again, this tells us little, as LeBron has played 50% more games than Jordan did. Now, when we compare these two players on an assists per game basis, the numbers become very clear. LeBron has averaged 7.4 assists per game throughout his career, even leading the league in assists one year when he played as point guard. Jordan, on the other hand, only averaged 5.3 assists throughout his career. Now, it's easy to see how one could say that LeBron was the better passer between the two because objectively he was. But this is not to say that Jordan wasn't capable of making great passes, because he undeniably was. In the 1988 and 89 season, the Bulls point guard Sam Vincent was struggling to run the offense, so head coach Doug Collins decided to experiment and move Jordan to the point guard position. And over the course of the next 11 games at point guard, Jordan averaged an astonishing triple-double with 33.6 points per game, 11.4 rebounds, and 10.8 assists. Why this experiment with Jordan at point guard lasted only 11 games, I'll never understand. But the point is, in the same way that LeBron could have been scoring more points if he really wanted to, Jordan could have been racking up more assists if he wasn't so busy leading the league in scoring 10 times. But if we had to say on face value who is the better passer and playmaker, the answer is clearly LeBron. Now, it could be argued that rebounding is more of a defensive stat, as 3/4 of the rebounds are made on the defensive end. However, we will be assessing these two players' ability to grab boards in its own category. Now, of course, having played the most seasons and games than any other player in history, all time, LeBron has more rebounds than Jordan. So once again, we will be judging these players on a per game basis. Throughout his career, Jordan averaged 6.2 rebounds per game, while LeBron averaged 7.5. Now, on face value, it makes sense that LeBron would be the better rebounder. Not only is he 3 inches taller, LeBron played most of his career at either small forward or power forward, which are positions that tend to get more rebounds. But that being said, if you had to say who is the better rebounder, the checkmark goes to LeBron. Probably the most undervalued aspect of a player's performance is what they do on the defensive end. Just what are you doing to contribute to the team's success by stopping the opposing team from scoring? Now, throughout Jordan's career, he was well regarded as one of the best defensive players to ever play the game. He has been awarded 9 all-defensive first-team selections, while also winning the award for Defensive Player of the Year in 1988, and leading the league in steals 3 separate times, while averaging 2.3 steals per game throughout his career. Jordan also missed out on being eligible for winning the award for all-defensive first-team selection in the 94 and 95 seasons, as he didn't play. But considering he won the award the 6 years previous and the 3 years after, it's pretty safe to say he probably would have won the award these 2 years, and maybe even in the 99 season had he played. LeBron, on the other hand, has been awarded the all-defensive first team 5 times and all-defensive second team once. LeBron has also averaged 3.5 turnovers per game throughout his career, while Jordan averaged just 2.7. I think it's safe to say that on face value, Jordan was the superior defensive player. When judging something like who's the greatest basketball player of all time, there is something to be said for just how good you were in your prime. Just how heads and tails above the competition were you, and how long did you do it for? An interesting way of viewing this is adding up a player's points, assists, and rebounds on a per game basis throughout their career. So if a player averages an MVP stat line of 30 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds, they would have 40. And throughout Jordan's 15 seasons, he has one of the highest peaks in NBA history. LeBron, on the other hand, though not scoring as high as Jordan earlier in his career, is easily the best player to ever play the game past the age of 35. And this is another big determining factor when people discuss Jordan and LeBron as who's the greatest player. Although it could be argued that Jordan was better at his peak, it could also be argued that LeBron was better overall throughout his career that spans more than 2 decades. In Jordan's last season season in the NBA at age 40, he averaged 20 points per game, 6.1 rebounds, and 3.8 assists. LeBron, on the other hand, at age 40, averaged 24.4 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. So, if you had to give the checkmark to somebody, Jordan would get the peak, while LeBron would get the longevity. Apart from the basic statistics, there is another category of stats that takes more factors into account. This includes PER, or player efficiency rating, win shares per 48, offensive box plus minus, defensive box plus minus, and true shooting percentage. And if we look at all these metrics side by side, there really isn't a comparison to be made, as Jordan beats out LeBron in almost every category except true shooting percentage. However, the big asterisk on this entire comparison is that Jordan never played as full career as LeBron did. You see, LeBron was drafted out of high school at the age of 18 years old and has never missed a season. Jordan, on the other hand, was drafted out of college at the age of 21. He missed most of the second season with a foot injury, and when he retired for the second time in 1998 before coming back and playing with the Wizards, he did not play at age 36, 37, or 38. Making an argument based on career numbers in advanced stats is hard to do when one player has played both as a teenager and in their late 30s, which statistically would be the worst years of their entire career, while the other has not. You could give the checkmark here to Jordan, but because Jordan never played as long as LeBron did, we will never truly know. Another metric that people often like to talk about when discussing the GOAT debate is how many championships a player was a part of. Jordan, of course, won 6 championships in his 6 visits to the finals, while LeBron has won 4 championships with 6 finals losses. However, this isn't actually true. What would be true is saying that the Chicago Bulls won 6 championships, of which Jordan was the best player on the team, while LeBron has been a part of 4 championship teams that won and been a part of 6 teams that made it to the finals and lost. You see, basketball is a team sport. You play 5-on-5 while also having a couple other key role players off the bench contributing important playing time to a team's success. In 2021, to celebrate the NBA's 75th anniversary, they released a list of the 75 greatest players in NBA history. On this list include a number of truly great players: Elgin Baylor, Charles Barkley, Dominique Wilkins, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, Allen Iverson, Steve Nash, Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, Chris Paul, Damian Lillard, and Russell Westbrook. Now the thing is, all of these players I just mentioned in the NBA's list of the top 75 greatest players of all time were never a part of a championship team during the 75th anniversary celebration. But the NBA still regards these players as great because they were judging them on their own individual efforts and not how successful their teams were. Being on a team that wins the NBA championship is a tough thing to do, even if you are one of, if not the best player in the league for several years. If you aren't surrounded by a team with a substantial amount of talent, your team has no chance of being crowned NBA champions. If you don't believe me, just look at the first 6 years of Jordan's career and the first 7 years of LeBron's career in Cleveland. They both played with garbage teammates, so of course their teams weren't winning championships during this time. Which brings me to the other part of the argument that people always seem to get wrong in the GOAT debate. Jordan and the Bulls made it to the finals 6 times, winning all 6 of those appearances, while LeBron and his respective teams made it to the finals 10 times, winning 4 and losing 6. Now, every person I've ever heard mentioning this before has always used this as an argument against LeBron, saying he's lost as many times in the finals as Jordan has won. But I'm here to tell you that LeBron's teams simply making it to the finals 10 times is an astonishing accomplishment regardless of his win-loss record. Let's just say, for example, we have 2 rookies that are both amazing talents and are both fighting to win the Rookie of the Year award. Now, both of them are drafted to the worst teams in each conference. Throughout the season, each rookie in their first year in the league are able to lead their teams to a slightly above average record. They each make the 8th 8th seed in each conference and are going to the playoffs. Now, one rookie and his team lose in the first round of the playoffs, while the other rookie and his team win the first round, win the second round, win the conference finals, make it all the way to Game 7 in the finals, but lose. So, without knowing any other information, which rookie would you say had the better year? The one that was a part of a team that lost in the first round, or the one that made it to the finals and lost? Of course, you would say the one that made it to the finals and lost. And this is what I mean. Phrasing LeBron's 6 other finals appearances as finals losses is so strange when the reality of it is a finals loss is basically a silver medal or second place. So, to sum up, winning a championship is a team effort, usually involving 7 key players on a team, 5 starters and 2 off the bench. If you don't play with other talented players, you cannot win a championship, let alone even make it to the finals. And a finals loss is really a second place finish. Jordan was part of the Chicago Bulls dynasty of the 90s and was a part of 6 different championship victories. LeBron James was a part of his own dynasty, making it to the finals 8 years in a row on 2 separate teams and winning 4 championships with 3 different teams. Now, that being said, you could argue that it was easier for LeBron to make it to the finals with bad teams as he played in the Eastern Conference, which at the time was not nearly as talented as the West. Here's a chart of the Eastern Conference win percentage throughout the years against Western Conference teams. Here's when Jordan played in the 80s against teams like Boston and Detroit, and here is the 9 times LeBron made it to the finals while playing in the Eastern Conference. As impressive as 10 total finals appearances is, all things must be considered in the GOAT debate. But on face value, when you're comparing Jordan's 6 first place finishes and LeBron's 4 first place finishes and 6 second place finishes, it is hard to say in my mind which is truly greater than the other. The Jordan-LeBron GOAT debate is not without its interesting, obscure reasons as to why one is better than the other. So here's a list of every obscure argument I've ever heard. Number 1. What if Jordan and LeBron played a one-on-one game in their prime? Now, as interesting a matchup that would be, getting the 2 greatest basketball players of all time, magically both 28 years old and playing their best basketball ever, the fact of the matter is, even if we could objectively say which one would win over the other in a one-on-one matchup, it still doesn't change anything. Basketball has always been and always will be a 5-on-5 game, and determining a player's greatness should only ever be determined by their ability to contribute to their team's success. One-on-one basketball is not basketball, just like penalty shots in soccer or hockey is not real soccer or hockey. The hypothetical Jordan versus LeBron in a one-on-one matchup has never and will never matter in the GOAT debate. Number 2, LeBron is the greater basketball player because he can play all 5 positions. Now, LeBron James is the only player in the history of the NBA to ever start as a point guard, a shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, and a center. And this crazy stat line doesn't really make a difference when comparing which player is greater. The only way this would matter is if you could magically clone Jordan and LeBron and have them play 5-on-5 basketball. LeBron is very talented and could have made a career in any of the 5 positions, but there is a reason that most of his career was in the small forward position, just like there's a reason that Jordan didn't continue to play point guard in the 88-89 season. Since a player can only ever play one position at a time, it is their ability to play at that position when we are taking into account our GOAT debate. Number 3, Jordan is the GOAT because LeBron changed teams throughout his career. Now, there is something mildly poetic when a player plays the majority or the entirety of his career with one team. Jordan played his first 13 seasons with the Bulls and never once changed teams in this time, while LeBron was drafted to Cleveland, went to Miami, went back to Cleveland, then went to the Lakers. It's not hard to figure out why LeBron did this. He wanted to be a part of a championship team and didn't feel feel like the team he was on at the time could do that, especially the first 7 years of LeBron's career in Cleveland, where they did very little to try to bring in other talented players to help LeBron win a championship. Jordan, on the other hand, was lucky enough to be teamed up with Scottie Pippen. If Pippen never joined the Bulls, there is no way they would have won 6 championships. And if that was the case, Jordan might have left the Bulls like LeBron left Cleveland in search of other talented players to help him be on a championship caliber team. But this idea that LeBron's legacy is somehow tarnished by the fact that he played in different teams is ridiculous. I have heard this argument over and over that LeBron is ring chasing or stacking his team, but the thing is, I have never ever heard this argument about a player like Shaquille O'Neal, who left Orlando to play with the Lakers, then left the Lakers to play with Miami. Why Shaq's legacy is never tarnished by this fact, but it is brought up all the time about LeBron is beyond me. Number 4, Jordan has more regular season MVPs than LeBron. Over the course of their careers, Jordan won 5 regular season MVPs while LeBron won 4. Now this comparison has never been fair for the simple fact that the MVP award has never gone to the most valuable player in the league, but it does almost always go to the most valuable player in one of the top teams in the league. You see, to win the MVP award, you need people to vote for you, and for the most part, people only vote for players who are on teams that have a high record in the NBA. Here's a chart of the last 45 years of each MVP winner and how high their team was in the conference ranking. And the results are staggering. If your team is not winning, then you are not winning the MVP award.
Michael Jordan was the best player before he started winning MVPs, but until he started winning, he wasn't going to get MVPs.
Correct.
The MVPs never went to the best player. It goes to the best player on the best team.
There's another YouTuber who has made a video going through every NBA MVP and using statistics to see who actually should have won the award every single year. I've left a link in the description if you want to check it out after, but the fact that this video even exists only proves my point that the most valuable player doesn't always win the MVP. Now, in my opinion, both Jordan and LeBron should both have considerably more MVPs than they actually have, but saying exactly how many times they should have won is hard to say. Number 5, the LeBron Effect. One of the most interesting things about Jordan and LeBron throughout their careers is their ability to influence their team's ability to win games. Here's a chart showing the Cleveland Cavaliers' wins during the regular season from 2003 to 2019. The season before the Cleveland Cavaliers drafted LeBron, they had tied for the worst regular season record with only 17 wins. The next year, with a rookie LeBron in the roster, they immediately shot up to 35 wins. And over the course of the first 7 years with the Cavs, LeBron led them to a winning basketball team. And then when LeBron left to play with the Miami Heat for 4 years, this is what happened to the Cavs' number of wins each season, while the Miami Heat's record went up, winning 2 championships in the process. But as soon as LeBron returned to Cleveland, their record improved once again, and in year 2 of his return to Cleveland, they were champions. Then, when LeBron went to the Lakers, the Cleveland Cavs record went back down, and in year 2 of playing with the Lakers, they were champions. Over the course of this 19-year span, the 8 years LeBron played for other teams, the Cavs record was on average just 22 wins per season. But the 11 years LeBron played for the Cavs, they averaged an astonishing 51 wins per season. And this, my friends, is the LeBron James effect. When he's playing for your team, you're probably winning. But on the other hand, the same thing could be said for Michael Jordan. Here's a chart with a few of the best players to ever play in the NBA and how much more their team wins when they are in the lineup as a percentage versus how many games they played. Hovering around 15 to 16%, we have players like Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. In the low 20s range, we have players like Larry Bird, Bill Russell, and Kobe Bryant. And 2 of the highest players in NBA history are none other than Michael Jordan and LeBron James. When Jordan played, his team won on average 25.8% more, and when LeBron James played, his team won on average 30.6% more. Truly, 2 of the best to ever play the game. In 2019, a sports journalism platform called The Athletic did a poll asking who is the greatest basketball player of all time. With an overwhelming 73% of the votes, Michael Jordan was still considered the GOAT over LeBron James, who had just 12%. Then, in 2023, The Athletic did another vote, and the gap closed significantly, with 58% for Michael Jordan and 33% for LeBron James. And in 2024, the votes were cast once again, and this time the vote was as close as it's ever been, with 46% saying Michael Jordan and 42% saying LeBron James. Now, part of this is probably because LeBron keeps playing basketball at a very high level, and the time in between these two polls were taken, LeBron also added a 4th NBA championship to his already incredible career. But another big reason that over time LeBron will inevitably be considered the GOAT by most is because of nostalgia. You see, in the 90s, when Jordan and the Bulls were winning all those championships, not everybody thought Jordan was the GOAT. A number of older NBA fans still insisted that people like Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were the GOAT, and Jordan was not. But over time, the number of older fans who watched these legends play in the 60s and 70s slowly faded away, and all the younger fans who grew up watching Jordan play thought he was the greatest. And now the same thing is happening. Anyone born in the 21st century have only ever known basketball with LeBron James as the best, or at least one of the best players in the league. And all these young people, most of which have never seen Michael Jordan play a full game of basketball, will grow up and continue to be fans of the NBA. And in their eyes, when they tuned in to watch basketball every day or check the highlights of their favorite team, all they ever know is the greatness of LeBron James. You see, the GOAT debate has always been a matter of personal choice. We can't ever say definitively which player is the greatest because everybody's definition of greatness is different. People who grew up on Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar probably think one of them is the GOAT. People who grew up on Jordan probably think he's the GOAT, and people who grew up on LeBron probably think he's the GOAT.
Someone's gonna say LeBron's my GOAT, hands down, nothing else. Just like I say Jordan's my GOAT. It's generational GOATs. That's what people gotta understand. It's a lot of great players that play sports, but it's eras of GOATs. And everyone wanna make one GOAT. It's impossible to make one GOAT because as great as LeBron is, it will be another. This is just the way the game is. This is the way the world works. It will be another person that come in and become someone's GOAT.
Now, before you started this video, if you already had some preconceived notion that either Jordan or LeBron was greater than the other, there is little a video essay on the internet could actually do to change your mind. I started this video saying that the GOAT debate is finally over, because the GOAT has always been whoever you think it is. The Jordan-LeBron GOAT debate has always fascinated me ever since LeBron came into the league. Most people talk about their differences and reasons why one is greater than the other, but what I'd like to do now is talk about their similarities. Both players were highly regarded before they ever played their first NBA game. Both players won Rookie of the Year. Both players were highly regarded as being the best player in the world for numerous years and became the face of the league. Both players went through hardships their first few years in the league, unable to win a championship. Both players ended up leading their teams that drafted them to their first NBA championship and won multiple championships throughout their careers. Both players have gold medals in the Olympics. Both players were selected in the 75 greatest players of all time. Both players wore the number 23, and both players starred in a movie featuring Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes. At the time of making this video, after LeBron has played at the age of 40, the same age Jordan was when he retired for the final time, Jordan and LeBron are, in my eyes, the two greatest basketball players of all time. No matter which way you look at it, the Mount Rushmore of NBA players is Michael Jordan, LeBron James, and everyone else looking up.
I get asked all the time about, MJ, LeBron, and it's such a difficult question to ask. All I know is they're the two best players that I've ever witnessed. They're very different, but however you want to rank them, they're right there together.
Jordan to the circle, puts the shot in the air. Good! The game's over. and the Bulls have won.
And the emotions for LeBron James, who delivers on his promise to come home and bring a championship to his beloved hometown.
The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
LeBron James, a shot at history. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
Just in front of that line. Look at this, the double clutch, the reach out.
I think that was a look at Michael like, turn out the lights, my friend.